The statue is one of the most distinctive forms of Catholic art. It is also one of the most misunderstood forms of Catholic art. The use of statues in prayer and the reverence they receive has been fiercely disputed over the years. Catholic statues are either viewed by some non-Catholics with outrage and by some with mere curiosity. The making of religious images had been a source of argument among various members of the Church in earlier centuries. There is a common argument and interpretation among various denominations of Christian communities about a verse from Old Testament passage in Leviticus, in which our Lord commanded the Israelites not to turn to idols. Every story has a perspective, theory, and analysis. In this video, I want to highlight the motive behind the use of statues in churches, and it clearly tells you why it is not an idol worship. Long ago, in the early ages, people were not able to read and write. The average person could not read and understand the stories in the Bible for themselves until the early 1900s. Priests and scribes were the only people in the church who were educated enough to read and understand the Bible. Therefore, the church started using statues, paintings, and stained glass windows to visually portray the stories in the Bible and show what people from that time period may have looked like. The stained glass windows we often see in a church depicted the stories from Jesus' life visually so that everyone, including little children, could understand who Jesus was. We keep photos of our loved ones in our homes, but we do not worship these photos. We enjoy seeing these pictures and remembering our family and friends. It fills our hearts with love. Similarly, statues of famous people adorn our government buildings, parks, and memorials. We honor these famous people and preserve their memories to recall their contributions with gratitude when we look at their statues. In a similar way, Catholic statues honor and preserve the memory of the important men and women whom the Church recognizes as holy. The saints are notable people who should be honored and remembered for their incredible lives on earth and their part in shaping our history. Nearly all Christians love nativity scenes at Christmas. Nativity sets lift hearts to the heavenly reality of God and call to mind the great mystery and gift of the Incarnation. Note that nativities are not mistaken for idols. Catholics know that a statue is not an idol, but a physical likeness of someone we love and want to honor and remember them. Worship is reserved for God alone. We venerate our Lord when we kneel before His likeness. He is the object of our love and worship, and not the piece of statuary. It is merely a representation of Christ, one that helps us keep our attention on Him, even though it falls short of His greatness. Misapplication of this commandment, which claimed that statues used for veneration were idols used for worship, caused controversy within the Church. To resolve this, the Catholic Church formally confirmed the use of statues and other art forms as a means of veneration at the Second Council of Nicaea in 787 AD. They clarified and approved the honoring of our Lord, Our Lady, saints, and angels through the proper use of statues. Since God has revealed Himself in various images, most especially in the incarnate Jesus Christ, it is not wrong for us to use images of these forms to deepen our knowledge and love for God. That's why God revealed Himself in these visible forms, and that's why statues and pictures are made of them. Since the days of the apostles, the Catholic Church has consistently condemned the sin of idolatry. The Catechism of the Council of Trent taught that idolatry is committed by worshipping idols and images as God. We know from the Old Testament the Israelites who God led out of Egypt from oppression. As they grew impatient with Moses on Mount Sinai, they decided to make a new god to go up before them. So they took their gold jewelry and melted it down to build a golden calf. God saw that His people had constructed a false idol and His replacement and planned to consume or kill all of them. But Moses courageously requested God to relent from this disaster against His people. The Church exactly condemns this, or believing that the idols or other god possess any divinity or virtue, entitling them to our worship by praying to or reposing confidence in them. And God tells us to refrain from this sin. What anti-Catholics fail to recognize is the distinction between thinking a piece of stone or plaster is a god and desiring to visually remember Christ and the saints in heaven by making statues in their honor. The making and use of religious statues is a thoroughly biblical practice. And Catholics believe and know there is only one triune God. Father Almighty, whom to be worshipped forever